From 1994, this is the Extreme Super Christmas Special, number one, $2.95. This one runs a full 48 pages. It's 32 pages of story, and then the back 16 pages are full of house ads and some pinups. As you might guess from the cover, yes, Troll is the star, and this does have something to do with the 12 Days of Christmas, as you can tell from that tree that has some pears drawn on top of it. I think they're supposed to be hanging from there, but we'll give them a little bit of a pass. This is art by Todd Nauck, Larry Stucker inking it. For those of you who are Young Justice fans later in the 90s, that combo will sound very familiar. Obviously, this is a very young version of Todd Nauck drawing this. I'm not sure, timeline-wise, if he was even drawing new men at this point yet or not. I'm not sure. He does the breakdowns for this book. That's the official credit for it, with a bunch of finishers handling the inks. I stink at figuring out who inked what, but Rob Liefeld's included in this book. Stephen Platt did some inking. Jeff Matsuda, who Todd Nauck followed on New Men back in the day. Chap Yap, Marlo Alquiza, Larry Stucker, all handling inks on this. The high point of this story, Keith Giffen doing the plots and layouts. Not sure if he's doing the dialogue and captions and all the script work himself also. There is no scripter listed on here, which that was a mistake. Someone missed. It sounds like Giffen's writing to me, so maybe he did, but I'm not entirely sure. There is a typo. There's a color assist here, but now I'm being very petty. It's Kurt Hathaway doing the lettering as he did on all the Extreme books. Eric Stevenson being the editor. Kurt Hathaway also being the associate editor on the book. So, the basic story is this. For those of you who watched that DuckTales episode or in high school had to read the Odyssey, or if you're like me and have a teenager in the house and she read the Odyssey for English class in the last year, and so you read it along with her, not only to help her, but because I didn't read it in high school. So it was interesting for me to finally get a chance to read it. This is Circe. Circe's come back. She's an old lover of Troll, believe it or not. And, oh, by the way, this is Troll walking into his apartment singing his own version of Deck the Halls. It's funny, just trust me. She gets into his apartment, and she's ready to get revenge because, in a flashback we'll learn in a minute, that he's the one responsible for turning her into the sheep for 1,000 or 2,000 years, however long it was. And now she's put a spell on the earth, and every man on this planet will be magically transformed into a rooting, grunting warthog unless basically he collects the 12 items from the 12 days of Christmas and delivers them to her by Christmas night. There's some great back and forth in the dialogue here. The classic sort of vaudevillian back and forth dialogue of misunderstandings and whatnot. She says that after what he did to her, she should turn him into a eunuch, and he says, oh, like a unicorn? Not the same thing. Up here, she says, you fancy yourself the big collector, and he's like, what, you want comic books? I want revenge, she says, so of course she looks for that in Wizard magazine. There's the flashback there to their younger days when they were lovers, and when he turned her spell against her to get rid of her for whatever reason, I'm not entirely sure, but he does that. She comes back for revenge. Off he goes to get the 12 Days of Christmas, and the rest of the issue is basically him going from place to place to do that. And if you stop to think about the 12 Days of Christmas, it is an increasingly ludicrous task he's up to, which makes it a perfect Keith Giffen plot. So it's a lot of fun in here. You see him going all around the place trying to pick up some turtle doves, the police reacting to the missing birds. Word gets out over the course of this issue that Troll is on a rampage stealing things, and people are just watching, and it gets funnier and funnier as you go along. Of course, he needs 11 ladies dancing, so he happens to be in New York at the time. He gets some Rockettes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Rockettes are drawn, but, you know, there are 11 there. It's a lot of drawing, folks. Hi, this is editor Augie right now, cutting off reviewer Augie just to make a quick, I guess, correction to this. Or maybe I'm just discovering the big, giant, extreme Christmas controversy that no one ever found until now, or probably did back in the day, but it's not like there was an issue 2 with the letters column or anything. When Todd Nauck drew the Rockettes, he drew 9 of them. There are 2 of them in silhouette that show up in the background, so he drew 9, which matches up with the 9 ladies dancing that show up in the traditional 12 Days of Christmas as outlaid here in the Wikipedia entry for the 12 Days of Christmas. However, when Troll sings the song back at the end, or gives his list of everything he's brought together, collected for Circe here, he lists 11 ladies dancing. In fact, the last 4 entries, 12, 11, 10, 9, are all messed up. It should be 12 drummers drumming. He had 9 drummers drumming. It should be 11 pipers piping. He got 11 ladies dancing. It's a little messed up. But whatever happened between, I'm guessing, perhaps the plotting and the final scripting, and someone just didn't look up the lyrics one more time. It's not like we had Wikipedia then, but I'm pretty sure you could find the lyrics to 12 Days of Christmas pretty easily, even back in the early 90s or mid-90s. Something got confused, lost, betwixt and between, I'm not sure. But if nothing else, I just wanted to point out, Todd Nauck, drawing breakdowns over Keith Giffen's layouts, did draw what should be the correct and traditional number of rockets for the 12 Days of Christmas. There's a sentence I didn't see myself saying this year. Keeping that in mind, it doesn't really matter that much, to be honest. The number of each individual thing, item, list of items that Troll picked up along his way, he doesn't make too much of a point of it until the very end when he does play out the whole list. He doesn't tell you how many lords he got or how many pipers he got once he got past those initial 5 or 6. So it doesn't interfere with the plotting, but as someone who can't let something go, I had to point that out. Okay, back to the video. He goes up to the Canadians because he needs some geese a-laying. There's a great little bit there with a Mountie type person. He's colored red here, but they don't color him red there. But yeah, fun stuff. Classic Giffen storytelling. This page is just the exterior of a building while you see the conversation going on inside for 6 panels. This is a Giffen technique, I think. I'm pretty sure he's done this on things like Freak Force and Vexed and some other of his books I've read. Looking back on it, it's probably just a great way to get a quick page done to help with deadlines, because you just draw one image and then you just copy it a bunch of times and the page is finished. A great help for the artist. Giffen himself is an artist, so he knows what's going on here. But also a good storytelling style, just to kind of give it to the reader's imagination to picture what's going on inside there. Turns out one of the Rockettes is super smart, can help to guide the ship that Troll is taking to go all over the planet. Things get funny. There's the maids that are a Milkin. He gets them all. There's some Youngblood behind the scenes going on stuff. He goes to France to pick up the French, 3 French hens, who it turns out they get supplied from Connecticut. They spell Connecticut wrong twice. Connecticut does not have 2 T's at the end. I can't help it. I notice these things. It's a minor quibble, but man, that jumps out at me. I'm an East Coast guy. I'm from New Jersey, you know. So is Keith Giffen, by the way, so I can't help it. Goes on and on. You can see it gets worse and worse as you go along, trying to get all these people and all these things onto the plane. He needs to go from one ship to a bigger plane, basically, to carry it all. The situation gets more and more crazy. He's obviously looking for some more ducks over there. He's in a mall in New Jersey. Can't find the partridge for the pear tree. That is the ultimate joke, by the way. We'll get to that in just a minute. It pays off, I think, beautifully, and in a way that worked well in 1994. I'm not sure it would work today. We'll talk about that in a second. There's Circe waiting for him in Central Park. There's the ludicrously large moon. Although, again, it's so low to the horizon, sometimes moons do get to be that big. We'll just go with that. Here he comes. Beautiful splash page with all the characters, the entire cast that he's been compiling over the course of the entire issue. He lays it all out for you. The pipers piping, the maids of milking. Thankfully, he didn't make too much bigger of a joke of the maids of milking. The golden rings, those are the easiest things. The calling birds, which aren't actually calling birds, they're callie birds, which I'm going to assume is true. I haven't looked up that on Wikipedia to see how it goes. And then we see him here talking to his Rockette friend from jail, because it turns out his attempt to find a partridge in the pear tree, he got Danny Bonaducci from a car show in Jersey City. And for those of you who are too young to understand that reference, Danny Bonaducci was in a show called The Partridge Family in the 70s. That's the gag. Again, worked probably great in 1994. It's probably a little, it's a little too narrow for today, for 2024. This book is 30 years old. Holy cow, I just did the math in my head on that. Macy's is in here. But that's the issue. It's, it's lightweight, it's fun, it's classic Giffen storytelling. I mean, Giffen did great work everywhere he went, and his style is unmistakably his, and had a great time reading this one. Todd Nauck's art is very early Todd Nauck. It's a very young version of him. If you like the stuff he's doing now and just want to see where he came from, his very early beginnings, this is it. And it's, it's not bad. There's obviously issues with him being so young, but it's definitely his style, and definitely can see him working on the page to get better and better from issue to issue. And the New Men stuff, I think, is underrated and all too easily forgotten these days. We should probably do a video on one of those issues at some point. Mako versus Badrock here in the pinup section in the back. Brian Denham doing Badrock in his greatest costume ever from Youngblood number, off the top of my head, I forget, 4, 5, something like that. There's Adam Polina, by the way, drawing, is that Prophet, I guess? Adam Polina, who went on to draw X-Force, so, surprisingly enough. There's a great pinup from Broom, Sean Broom? Is that his name? I've just blanked on his first name. And then some great of the time Extreme Super Tour. There's the catalog. Supreme was just getting started. It was going to be completely different with Superman number 24. Brigade was taking a turn already. There's the Youngblood Toys. That's a cool looking toy. I'm not a toy guy, I'm not a statue guy, but every now and then one hits me well, and that's a great Badrock with all his battle gear. Extreme was ending already, 1994, like 2 years into Image. That was a thing that happened a lot. There's a great Newman ad. Oh, love that series. Nightmare. And Mortal Kombat, yes, a video game ad on the back of a creator-owned series from 1994. It's pretty awesome that I was getting that kind of money in for his comic books that early in their age there. That's soon in the Extreme catalog. So that's the Extreme Super Christmas Special. A light read, a fun read, a fast read. It's a lot of fun to see these younger creators working, learning on the page for a fun story, for a fun Christmas story that takes the 12 Days of Christmas and treats it with all the reverence you'd expect Keith Giffen to do so, which is very, very little.